Back in 1988, Holden fans didn't know what to think. Giant body kit, wild spoilers, fuel-injected V8 power. Some called it ugly, others called it revolutionary. But this strange-looking VL would go on to become one of the most iconic Australian performance cars ever built. Built in 1988, the VL Commodore SV Group A became the very first car produced by Holden Special Vehicles after the split from Peter Brock's HCT operation. Initially planned as a limited run of just 500 cars, demand and homologation requirements eventually pushed reduction to 750 examples. The final car rolled off the production line on the 5th of November 1988, and what HSV created was unlike anything Australia had ever seen before. Under the bonnet sat the first locally built fuel-injected V8s, featuring twin throttle bodies and advanced Delco engine management, but the biggest talking point was the shape. The body kit was developed using wind tunnel testing in the UK at Mirror. The dramatic body kit reduced the drag by around 25 to 30% compared to the earlier Group A's, while it also created real downforce front and rear. Ironically, while it improved the aerodynamics massively, many people at the time thought it actually looked more brick-like than the standard VL. That's how it earned the nickname, the Plastic Pig. Look closely and every piece of this body kit had a purpose. The massive rear wing, deep front air dam and side skirts weren't just for show. They were designed to keep the car stable at high speed and on the racetrack. Even details like the removable side skirt blanks and front intake mesh were designed with racing in mind. Compared to earlier Group A's, this car felt planted, more refined, and far more advanced aerodynamically. And despite the aggressive look, this was also the most luxurious Group A Holden yet. It came with power windows, central locking, air conditioning, a security system, and a premium stereo all came standard. All the Walkinshaws were finished in one colour. It was silver. It was Panorama Silver, named after Mount Panorama. Inside the Walkinshaw, it still feels unmistakably late 80s Holden, but with an extra level of occasion. HSV wanted this car to feel like a genuine high-performance Grand Tourer, something you could drive daily and then take straight to Bathurst. The combination of luxury equipment, fuel injection and race-bred engineering made this one of the most technically sophisticated Australian cars of its time. Seats were a brand new design and they were designed in Australia. They had tweed cloth and velour upholstery. There was driver's seat height adjuster, rear centre armrest, rear seat reading lamps, cut pole carpet, tinted windows, centre console with 3 compartments and armrest, remote electric boot release, manual remote control exterior mirrors, and a driver's footrest. In addition to that, you had the MoMA leather-bound steering wheel, full instrumentation, power antenna, and a 4-speaker premium sound system, and a Cobra anti-theft alarm with remote radio key. One detail often overlooked is the front seat design. The Walkinshaw introduced HSV's first true SV performance seat, a much more aggressive and supportive seat design compared to previous Holden sports seating. These seats became the foundation for HSV's early performance interiors and will carry through into later icons including the VN SV89, the SV5000 and the ultra-rare SV LE. Sitting in them today, you can feel the beginning of HSV developing its own identity beyond Holden, creating performance cars with their own engineering, styling and driver-focused interiors. Australia's first injected V8 produced 180 kilowatts at 5,200 RPM with 380 Nm of torque at 4,000 RPM. It had dual throttle bodies, reinforced cylinder block and 4-bolt main bearing caps. By today's standards, 180 kilowatts isn't very much, but HSV claimed at the time 0 to 100 in just 6.5 seconds, earning the Walkinshaw a place in what they called the 6-second club back in 1988. Just to put that into perspective, many American V8 family sedans of the time took around 10 to 11 seconds to get to 100 kilometers. What makes it even more impressive is the VL Group A wasn't far behind one of America's true performance heroes, the 1988 Chevrolet Corvette. Depending on the model and test, the Corvette managed around 5.5 to 6.1 seconds to 100. So here is a 4-door Holden Commodore with a boot, air conditioning, power windows, room for the family, running surprisingly close to a dedicated American sports car of the time. Let's hop in and go for a spin on the track. This is where the Walkinshaw story really comes alive on the track. Eastern Creek, now called Motorsport Park, became part of Group A history when the Walkinshaw claimed victory in the inaugural Eastern Creek 500 endurance event. Riding in the back seat today gives you a real appreciation for how stable these cars were at speed. You can feel the weight, the long gearing, the roar of the injected 5 litre, but also the confidence the aero package gave the car.
Do you like it? That was pretty smooth. Yeah, 83,000 on the clock.
For a machine based on a family Commodore platform dating back to the late 70s, this thing punched well above its weight against some of the best international Group A cars in the world. Looking back on the spoiler, you can really see how big it is, and you can only imagine the downforce it creates on the track.
Definitely gets production on it. It sounds good, mate. No, what's that sound? You can definitely tell it's not your normal 5 litre.
Back in 1988, many people didn't understand the Walkinshaw, but time has been kind to this car. What was once mocked became one of the most collectible and important Holdens ever built.
You feel like a race driver in this. You don't have to go high, just got that racy feel to it.
In 1990, the VL Walkinshaw won Bathurst on the track with Percy and Grice at the wheel. Let's take a look at some of the footage.
Here is on the short tracks, but there is some fairness, I guess.
His car's come good absolutely at the right time. It's amazing how it all works, isn't it? You chip away until finally you've got a really good race package, and that's what this has been today.
14.66 seconds, the gap back to Paul Radisich of New Zealand. Coming across the skyline, down towards Castrol. A lap and a half to go. Have you got enough gas, Al?
Yeah, we're looking pretty good, Mike. Anyway, it's a bit expensive to buy up here on top of the mountain.
Yes, the crew looked a little nervous with the churn out there.
Everybody's nervous with a lap and a half to go, mate. I've cut the revs back. We certainly, we've done this number of laps before today, and I'm actually running less revs, as you can see. So, quite sure we'll make it. Are you having a nice day, Michael?
I'm having not a bad day at all, Alan. I think a lot of Holden supporters are having a wonderful day.
Yeah, there'll be a few Holden boys all changes tomorrow, perhaps. I don't know if this thing really needs to go in for service.
I tell you, give Win Percy cardiac arrest if you pull into the pits and then keep going.
No, I don't think they'll put it in for service. It's only done 1,000 Ks.
I think there's a nice sign coming up for you here now. does it say?
Last lap, it's a nice little sight.
You want to talk us through it, Alan?
Yeah, not a problem. This has been a problem all day, the little cars, but by and large they've been very good. How did my Peter Jackson Search for Champion boys go today, Mike?
They dropped out, Alan, but the boys I thought did a great job, and as I've said earlier, I thought it was a great project involving not only yourself but guys like Johnny Smith and Jim Richards, who all came along to try and discover Australian talent.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them. They put themselves on the grid at the biggest race in Australia, and they got 20 cars behind them. I thought, boy, I did the right thing. I picked the right guys.
I'm sure you did. I tell you what, look at the Holden fans out here on the right as you come across the top of Skyline. You can probably hear the applause from here.
I can. There's some happy boys and sick heads up here.
Got time to give them a wave?
I've been doing that.
Fans on top of the mountain, here he comes.
I love the Commodores.
Oh, look at them, you made their day.
Somebody's put oil all over the road there. I only just saw it. I was a bit busy looking at the crowd. But there's oil all over the road back there. Bradley, watch out for that. Oil all the way down the mountain.
Little slippery out of there too.
Yes, well, whoever's laying the oil, if they're doing it on the last lap, I hope they make it home.
It's been great to ride with you and win Percy with our 7 Dulux Auto Colour race cam, Alan.
Well, it's been an absolute privilege to drive this motor car, I can assure you of that. It has the most brilliant brakes I've ever felt in a touring car. I think the boys have done a superb job to build the winning motor car.
Under the bridge, coming down to the final corner. Checkered flag time. Crowd absolutely berserk. Last turn, checkered flag. How does it feel? Tooheys champ, Alan Grice.
It's the best feeling I've had since 1986, I gotta tell you.
Well done, son. You've driven superbly.
Thanks, Mike.
I guess that answers a few critics, and I guess it puts Holden back with a very strong challenger with a new car for 1991.
Yes, if we can just run on the right fuel for everybody next year without all the Manhattan cocktails, we'll have a wonderful year of motor racing.
Well, there's marvellous scenes down here in the pits. Win Percy, Chris is there, Roseberry, team managers. I think all the Holden people are delighted as well.
So Christine giving Wally Story a big kiss for that one. I think he's done a lot of work for that car. The top.
Alan, I'll let you go back to the pits, and I'm sure that Bruce McAvaney and our audience will look forward to seeing you on the balcony for the presentation. Well done, champ. Alan Grice, the winner of the 1990 Tooheys 1000 here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Paul Radisich chased superbly. 15 seconds, the gap at the finish of 161 laps. Larry Perkins makes it a great day for Holden. He finishes back in third.
The VL Group A SV wasn't just another Commodore, it marked the beginning of HSV itself, and today it stands out as one of the true icons of Australian motoring history. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on another video soon.